Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we once again are kind of going a little bit more on the hardcore, well, not good news when it comes to just the overall global world. Now, as you guys know, when it comes to restocks, when it comes to GPUs, PlayStations, Xboxes, Switches, or whatever, it's also just when it comes to normal general goods, which we'll kind of be diving a little bit to as well, there is some potential bad stuff that keeps on happening. Whether it's from like supply chain issues, whether it comes from shipping issues, when it comes to production issues, and everything in between. And we actually have some pretty intriguing stuff going on that's been going on in these big regions, and without a doubt, it will be affecting a lot of restocks. Without a doubt, it's affecting our day-to-day lives, and without a doubt, has not been good. Now, you guys may or may not have actually heard about this already, because I did go touch on this a few weeks ago, but it's actually becoming more and more and more widespread and more well-known on everything we've had a chance to go and see. So, a lot of stuff to go talk about, a lot of things to go bring on up, and as well, just, not kind of good news. So before we dive on into it, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway, and the Twitter link down below for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway, and the Amazon links down below for the PS5 Digital Console Controller, Twitter and Twitch stream as well, link down below, and sign up for that Weeble, sign up for that Coinbase, and I'll get all those good little affiliate stuff, and let's go and dive on in. So we have two major big things I want to go and talk about. And this is more in regards to the lockdowns. Now, as you guys know, pandemic, all that stuff. And now you guys can kind of go and say whatever you guys want to when it comes to America, onwards, afterwards, whatever. Like, it's totally fine. But at least for this is not in regards to America. This is now in regards to actual China. And this is kind of a big thing because, as you guys know, China is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, producer of pretty much everything. Now, obviously, different countries, different areas have more exports and have their own production lines, etc., etc. But just in the general sense, China's pretty much known for a lot of exports and, well, producing, making, assembling, whatever it is, whether it comes to consoles, whether it comes to cars, whether it comes to technology, and everything throughout that in between the mix. And as you guys may or may not have heard, once again, China's been on a very big lockdown. And I kind of want to just be a little extra light on this just in case you guys are curious, because it's actually been a lot worse than people have been anticipating. Ever since I made a video on this a few weeks ago, it's actually also as well gotten progressively more and worse and worse and worse and worse. Although there might be a little bit of a light up, thankfully. As you guys know, usually we ever have like these like really big spats, they'd have like, you know, like a few weeks of hyper and then it kind of calmed down. And we'll hopefully to that calm down soon. But right now we've had multiple big cities locked down, factories being like just basically shut down, people are not able to leave their houses, and just overall not good stuff. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this first and foremost for a lot of American viewers out here, this affects a lot of production in terms of making things, shipping things, moving things, and especially that also kind of obviously ties into consoles and GPUs and everything else, although there is, don't forget, other assembly lines, other production areas, other just everything else mixed on in, but just more of the general sense, and as well in terms of trading, because also don't forget even sometimes when it comes to supplies as well, at least in the biggest, like the easiest, like this affects everything, is the fact that we have a lot of both manufacturers and processing plants and also like raw materials that also get moved and gonna get sent on out, or even use China as a place as a central hub too as well. So bear in mind that's probably the biggest factor. But as you guys can see over this one, there's over 180 million people as of right now impacted by China's COVID lockdowns, but as well there's even more cities involved. We actually covered this news a little bit ago and kind of said it was bad news then, obviously, because a lot of the very big production facilities were actually being sent down. So just imagine like big towns that are basically mainly made for manufacturing and mainly made for productions, they were getting shut down in terms of factories and everything else. But now, China's actually introduced lockdown measures in its now two biggest cities of both Beijing and Shanghai, the twin engines that power the nation's economy, in an uncompromising bid to stamp out the outbreaks. Now, Shanghai is at the center of the latest outbreak, reporting upwards of 15,000 new cases a day, and authorities have responded with a citywide lockdown that has lasted weeks. And so I kind of want to touch on that too. So when it comes to production, factories, etc., people are just not able to work. People are not even like allowed to even leave their houses. And it's not cool. I mean, obviously, it's awful. So basically, this one, authorities have responded by a city-wide lockdown that has now officially lasted weeks, confining nearly all 25 million residents for the once bustling financial hub to their homes or neighborhoods. And meanwhile, Beijing officials have launched mass testing exercises, shut down schools, and imposed targeted lockdowns on some residential buildings in a bid to rein in infections too as well. And on top of this too, they basically had a pretty strict COVID strategy that uses lockdowns, mass testing, quarantines, and everything else to go and kind of try to get their best to contain it too as well. And it's also all being doing either a full or partial lockdown when it comes to at least 27 cities across the country, with these affecting over 180 million different people too as well, which is insane. And we covered this news a little bit ago, but as I've mentioned, a lot of these places are really big economic locations. We have a lot of people making stuff, we have a lot of shipments going through, we have a lot of production going on, and this actually could be really bad news in terms of everything, more so in regards to like a pretty big lull. And if you guys even remember like the big huge cargo ship that was stuck, and that basically took weeks upon months to have that all sorted, because everything is just so like on the dime as of right now. Any small delay, whether it's a factory shutdown or anything else, can cause huge massive rundowns too as well. And on top of this too, as you guys know, like they basically have locked down many cities, including major economic centers of like Sheswim in March, which we actually covered this news a little bit ago too as well. And as of right now, it's recorded more than 500,000 cases since March 1st, which basically also had the staggered lockdown too as well, which turned to a citywide shutdown too on top of this. So you guys can kind of go and see, it just seems like the whole entire basically country is not going too well. Like we actually have huge things in terms of schools being closed. We have hospitals announcing that they're closing too as well. Entertainment venues too have also been ordered to close too on top of that. And fuller-wide, district-wide lockdowns are also in effect too on top of that for other different cities as well. And now I'm sure you guys know how this kind of stuff is kind of going over here, but more on the economic side, basically there's been dealt a huge blow into activities, more so on the economic sides. So unemployment basically is at a 21-month-year high. Many businesses have been forced to suspend operations too as well. That's kind of the more like the bread and butter when it comes to consoles and productions. So this includes things like automakers. So you see Volkswagen and Tesla, iPhone, which obviously is big on like producing stuff, etc., etc. We also big assemblers too, and like I said, a lot of this kind of just turns down into console-wise as well, mainly because it either goes in terms of production, in terms of assembly, or as well just more so moving through the country itself. And as well, even the yuan has also been weakened rapidly this week too as well, with its lowest levels too on top of that, with even leaders also being a little more on the worried side too as well, where they're also saying that they're painfully aware to all the damage being done to the economy itself too as well, and they're just worried about everything. They're worried about foreign companies moving out, they're worried about production, they're moving about like assembly, they're worried about unemployment, everything else tied on in. But one even bigger things too is the fact that China has even been kind of banning out prominent market analysts, as basically there's a huge economic slump. And that's usually kind of bad because, as I mentioned, China's really big for productions. So this is bad for like your day-to-day normal life in terms of TVs, in terms of, monitors, in terms of phones, in terms of consoles. Everything all put together is all around just being affected. Now, thankfully and hopefully this will just be a short kind of burst, kind of how we had in America. We had a few different additional waves, and then it kind of calmed down and went from there. But the one biggest struggle still is that, well, they're almost trying their best to hide it. So with this, we even have people out here with like Chinese social media shutting down prominent market analysts too, who have been drawing into a lot of attention, where they're talking about how like the dramatic slowdowns and all the effects are really bad in the tech industry, which obviously you guys think about consoles, phones, whatever, all ties us on into it. So over the weekend, basically Tencent's WeChat froze the public account of Hong Hao, managing director and head of the research at BOCOM International, an investment banking arm of Bank Communications too as well. And basically this is a big thing because he's also talking about huge outflows of capital from the country, really big bearish forecasts in this Chinese stock market too as well, and basically all of these overall bans too on top of that, which is not big to see. And as well as also even talk about too how like there's been huge COVID lockdowns, have been taking heavy tolls in the world's second biggest economy, with their data also coming out on Saturday. And this is kind of the big thing to note, and why I'm more so bringing that up, is that even these analysts that are saying that there's been awful activity across manufacturing and services has actually now been slumped down to the lowest level since February 2022. And as you guys probably know, it's not been good. Like, we don't want to see more delays, we don't see more production issues, and obviously we don't want anyone to die. That's never good. And it's just bad to see, because as you guys know, China's one of the big epic centers of everything put together, and this is just going to probably put a pretty big damper on most of the global economy. Mainly because, like I said, so much stuff is produced, exported, imported as well as assembled through China itself, or is also utilized through ports, or if ports are also being delayed and other stuff is being delayed, or even just imagine a huge shipment of, say, like plastic being moved and sent on out, and if it never shows up, people can't utilize it, can't make consoles, can't make iPhones, can't make cars, etc., and it's not going good. And this has really been a big crackdown too on big tech as well, and there's also other things, at least for China, with big real estate slumps, and also a lot of risk too as well with war and everything. It's just not good. We're even seeing the Chinese currency also drop to its lowest levels too as well. Now, they did also want to do reassurances about fixing the economy and moving all this stuff and promising promoted growth and everything else, although until it actually happens, because right now big lockdowns are still going on, we might have a few slightly smaller restock weeks. Although console sold will be going on, it just might be kind of bad for the overall global economic economy. So, not good to see. If any of you guys also want to give your thoughts and comments down below, feel free to. It's always scary to go and see this, but hopefully get sorted sooner rather than later. And as well, hopefully we can finally get through all this crazy mess. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 Digital Console Controller. Twitter and Twitch stream as well, link down below. And sign up for that Weeble, sign up for that Coinbase and the Twitter giveaway down below. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching in the first place.